Hello viewers, here are the telephones in the house as of May 3rd, 2021. Starting off in the bedroom, we have the VTech 6773 telephone, 5.8 GHz digital digitan spread spectrum, digital digitan answering system, 3 mailboxes. I usually keep these socks here like that because the mailbox thing is just too bright at night. And this is a great set. I've been using this one a lot, especially outside, because the speakerphone is really phenomenal on this handset. I did repair all the screens when I put this out, and it's lost a couple of pixels, both horizontal and vertical. Today it looks like we're having a good day horizontally, but there's a couple of vertical pixels that are missing. But it's still totally readable, so it's good enough. Some of the lines seem to come and go. I could see why they go, but I'm not really sure how they come back. Maybe I'm not getting the adhesive hot enough when I do the repair. I'll have to revisit that sometime. Anyways, moving on, we have the Quest digital digitan cordless spread spectrum 900 MHz telephone. I've finally used this outside on a couple of calls and it worked pretty well. It's still too soon to tell because the foliage is not fully on yet. Oh, here we go with the screen again. Okay, I so obviously don't want to record the screen. Okay. So when the foliage comes on, it's going to get, the reception outside decreases quite a bit, so we have to wait and see. It worked all over the yard, but it did clip out in a couple of areas. I don't think the range is going to be quite as good as the Uniden EXS9660 was, but I mean, that arguably is one of the best cordless phones ever made, so I'm not surprised it doesn't quite live up to that. But it's definitely pretty good, and I really like the operating system on this phone. It's pretty cool, and it's really easy to use and intuitive. And the talking caller ID, I like it more than I thought I would. Initially I was kind of disappointed that it didn't read the name and number out, like the Panasonic ones do, but it stores 20 entries. I don't even have 20 people that call me on a regular basis, so it's more than adequate. I just recorded it in and it works pretty good. It also grabs it on the first, right after the first ring, which is nice. The Panasonic ones don't do it until the second ring. And speaking of the Panasonic, here is the Panasonic's KXTG7741, and this is a pretty decent phone. These are kind of what I think were the last really good phones that Panasonic made. Some of the stuff they put out today is just awful. Some of the phones are okay, but they're not really perfect. This is the last really good one in my opinion. Over here by the bed we have the Panasonic KXTG1031S, an AT&T 210 trim line, the Uniden, what is this one? The Uniden EXA950, which I've really become quite fond of. The ergonomics are fantastic. It's very clear. The audio pickup is pretty good. I'm kind of starting to like this better than the 7980. I've used the 7980 for years, but oh jeez. This may become my new primary phone. And on the other side of the desk we have the Panasonic KXTG 6641B, and I I had some confusion with this one because I can't seem to find the cradles for it. I know I have them somewhere, but the cradles, they don't have the same model number as the base. It's got some weird like PQLV A5102 583, something just crazy. And I have to look at the manual and see if I can find out what the charging cradle model number is for this set, so I can resolve that confusion finally. On the wall we have the Uniden XC714, and this is very similar to the handset I grew up with, and the Cortelco 2554. And lastly, in the bedroom we have the infamous Uniden DECT 1580. In the computer room by the couch we have the General Electric memory phone. This is another phone I've had for a very long time, and it is the model number the 2, the 9, the 2, the 6, the 6, the A telephone. And I believe this is a product of the Atkins, made in Malaysia. And then over here we have the VTech CS6114 telephone. Over here we have the Avaya partner telephone. Near the butter there is a Panasonic 1031, and by the computer there is the AT&T EP5632. I want to put some more of these out. I did buy some more recently. I also bought some new batteries. I was having a hard time finding the batteries because they were all that crazy Castars brand, which I've never had good results with, so I refused to buy from them again. Even though they did kind of make it right, because they refunded the purchase and they sent a second set and they paid for all that shipping and everything, but ultimately the batteries didn't work, so no more of them. But anyway, so that's that. I got to put some more of those out. I got to clean up the ones that I bought. And then over here we still have the Uniden DECT 2085. Here is the Uniden PowerMax 5.8 GHz digital Digitan answering system, model ELBT595, and this is an awful phone. The handset is just, it's terrible. It's really cool, but it's terrible. The volume is low, the ringer volume is almost inaudible, the speakerphone volume is low, the ergonomics are terrible. It's a really cool phone, and it's a neat concept, but it's just not, like, I use a landline phone to avoid all of the shortcomings that this one has, because this has most of the shortcomings of the cell phone. Now the buttons are kind of small for my preference. I find the screen very... Who closed that door? Okay. Anyways, that was a little strange. What was I saying here? Well, the buttons, you know, they're kind of small, and the screen I find it kind of hard to read. It's a really cool phone, and I can see why people bought it, but what I don't understand is why it has such a high retail price still, because it's just not great. It's a perfect example of a form over function product. Very clever design. It looks pretty cool sitting on the table. It's very sleek and fancy, but performance-wise, it's just not there. And the range isn't very good either, but I'm not sure if that's just because of the environment or because of the design. Near the battery charger, there is a Uniden DCX150, which gives a much better user experience than that one, despite being a fraction of the cost. By the video editing computer, we have an AT&T 732, and I don't believe the time is correct. No, it's definitely not. It's only 10 o'clock. And over here, we have the VTech. I think it's the model 5881. I can't see it. Yes, it is the 5881. And this is the original set that I purchased years ago, I think in like 2012 or somewhere around that range. One of the first phones I bought. And it needs a repair. The earpiece is getting a little flaky. It kind of cuts out sometimes and has to be smacked, so it's probably just a loose connection, but otherwise this has been a very reliable phone, and it's held up well. I've used it for almost a decade, and it was used before I got it, so it's got quite a few hours on it, and it's still holding up just fine. In the bathroom, there is the ever-present Uniden DWX207. In the living room, there is the other Uniden DWX207. This one is more of a yellow color. And there's also the second VTech 5.8 GHz Digitan Trio. This one I have the belt clip on. And this one has a couple of horizontal lines out today, which is still readable, so it's still fine, but it's kind of annoying because it wasn't like that right after I fixed it. And then over here there is the Panasonic. Oh, no model number. Okay, whatever the model number was, there it is. Downstairs there is another Panasonic telephone, and that 210 is there, but it's not plugged in, it's just there out of lack of anywhere else to put it. Over here there is another Panasonic 1031. Over here there is the other. Geez, this place is a dump. I gotta clean up over here. There's the other Panasonic 6 Plus phone, and by the computer there is the Cortelco 2500 and the third VTech 5.8 GHz Digitan spread spectrum. Over here there is an older Cortelco 2500. How come that's not working? Oh, I think that bulb is out. Okay, I need another bulb. A whole bunch of bulbs over here for a while. I don't know where they're at. Must be. Oh, I think I put them in there. Okay, no problem. I'll get another incandescent bulb. I think there's one more in this fan. No, when there was, but I must have used that one too. That cheese. I know there's a bulb in there, but I don't feel like taking that one apart. So just use this. Oh, it's a LED. Ugh. Don't worry, I'll get it replaced with an incandescent one real quick. Okay, by the computer, there is a Uniden DCX 150. The General Electric Digitan messaging system telephone. The AT&T 210. The ring that doesn't ring. Maybe someday I'll fix that. The wall phone, wooden wall phone. Another DCX 150 for the studio area. A Bell Systems ringer, which is the same ringer as it would be in like an old 2500 set. And another Panasonic cordless on the wall. And then lastly over here there is the Emerson Talk & Caller ID box and the Radio Shack 2554 from that letter